Da. Welcome to the only wrestling podcast that matters. I'm your host, Jean Paul, and this is Rope Break. And before we get into the review, like always, just want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome to Rope Break. If you've been here since day one, we love you. So, welcome, to the Monday Night Raw review, like we have here every Tuesday. And for the past couple weeks, I've been saying Raw has been getting better. It hasn't been a steady, upward, swing of things. It's been kind of up then down, up then down. But this past 2 weeks, the shows have been going up and up steadily. So, it really wasn't a bad show. And Juan and I both agreed. We, as always, texting throughout the show. Oh, what do we think of this? What do we think of that? We both thought that this was a solid show, and this Raw almost didn't happen. There was a bunch of snow in Salt Lake City where the Raw took place last night, so they didn't even know if they were going to have it because the weather was so bad. They don't want the people to be coming out and driving in that, but I guess it wasn't a state of emergency, so they didn't close the road. So the fans showed up, and the fans were pretty good for this. They were lively, and the wrestlers, thanked the fans a couple times through the night for coming out there on commentary and stuff. They said, the WWE Universe is in full support. And, I mean, you got to think about it. There's no better time to go to Monday Night Raw than now. From the Royal Rumble until WrestleMania is the best time, to watch wrestling and go to these shows. We're going to the Chamber. That should be a good pay-per-view. And there's just, because now is when WWE makes its money. Royal Rumble and WrestleMania are probably the two most popular pay-per-views, and, they're building towards everything. It's after that, like the Summer Slams and all those pay-per-views, that WWE kind of goes into autopilot, and they're just like, we'll just ride the momentum from the last, 3-4 months. So, which is kind of a shame, but, it is what it is. But like I said, this show was really good, so let's get into it. So, Raw opens up with a look back, main event last week's show, which, of course, Edge comes out, and he says he's going to retire on his terms and everything. Then Randy Orton comes out, and they have a little mini rated RKO reunion outside of the Rumble match. And then when Randy Orton, of course, turns on him. So, and that was how the show opened up. It was supposed to be Randy Orton coming out and, saying why he did what he did. So he comes out, he slowly walks to the ring, and he is getting booed. And this is the best angle in WWE. And it's one thing you got to think. AJ Styles is hurt, and like you could smell it. It was going to be AJ Styles and Edge, and they tease that throughout the coming months, and then you get rated RKO. But it's like OC's the 3-man versus this 2-man. It's a handicap. You got to bring in Christian. And to me, that would have been cooler just to see Christian back and all that. But AJ Styles is hurt. He is still a question for WrestleMania. So to me, this is the next best thing. And it was probably something that this was probably going to be their SummerSlam match. Maybe Randy Orton would have turned on Edge at the Mania match and caused him the match. Who knows how they would have booked this thing. But it looks like now this is the feud, obviously going for WrestleMania. So it was interesting to see if this is what we would have gotten if AJ Styles wouldn't have been hurt. But here we are, and I'm not complaining because, like I said, this is definitely one of the best storylines, if not the best storyline in all of WWE right now. And so like I said, Orton comes out, just a chorus of boos. He doesn't speak. He just kind of looks really conflicted, really he's just like sad, unsure. Like I said, just like conflicted. He's leaning on the ropes, and then he does his pose, and they just boo him even more. And then he says he guesses he owes everyone an explanation. And then he's like, the thing is, and the fans cut him off, and they just boo him and boo him and boo him. And I texted Juan, I'm like, dude, this is like when Roman beat Taker at Mania 33, or whatever that was, 33. And I was like, this is awesome. This is how, I said about the Roman thing, I'm like, that's when he should have turned heel, Roman's bullshit, this and that. But I don't need to talk about Roman tonight. I'll be blasting him enough come Friday night, I'm sure. So, like I said, he's interrupted, just the chorus of boos. And then Orton continues to start and stop talking. He just gets like one word, like a half a syllable, and they just start booing the shit out of him. And then he's like, I can't do this. Drops the mic, and he rolls out of the ring. So that was Randy Orton's explanation. We didn't get one. So I like that. He's like conflicted. It was all like he hears the voices in his head. Is he the legend killer? Does he want to go back to that? Does he regret turning on Edge? It's a really good storyline, and the fans were chanting for Edge to come out during this. Obviously, they're not. They're going to sell the angle. He probably won't be back for the next couple weeks. I hope he doesn't show up at Super Showdown. I hope they don't do anything there. Please, Edge, don't go to Saudi Arabia. It's not worth it. But it's that, like I said, it did barely anything, but it did a lot at the same time. So this was a great first opening segment. So then we see highlights from the Royal Rumble. Of course, it was centered around Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre, and all their stuff that took place. And of course, Drew challenging Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, which he better win. If not, Vince, I'm coming for you. But then we get Brock Lesnar. Obviously, he's going to have an opponent before then. There's how many pay-per-views, maybe for the Chamber. No, not the Chamber. Oh, for Crown Jewel, for the pay-per-view that nobody cares about. So, of course, it's like it's Lesnar's opponent for Crown Jewel. And they're like, oh, maybe McIntyre won't even go against Lesnar. Come on. What are you going to do? Have Ricochet, Bobby Lashley, or Seth Rollins? Because they were in a triple threat. No DQ to determine the winner. And at this point, I'm thinking no DQ. I'm thinking, oh my God, don't tell me it's going to be Rollins because he's going to bring down his band of goons and they're going to, beat everybody up. And then it's like, no, the light bulb went off. It's like clearly the obvious choice is Ricochet. He's the one. Lesnar low-blowed him. He low-blowed Lesnar, which allowed Drew McIntyre to hit the Claymore kick to send him over the ropes. So it's like clearly that who's going to be the winner. And wow, I like Ricochet the most out of all three of these guys, and I do like Rollins as a heel a lot more than babyface, obviously, but I still like Ricochet, just everything in the ring and all that, more out of, the most out of all three of these guys. To me, I would have went with Bobby Lashley. Like, that's who the one I would have picked, but, and obviously the match is over, it ended at 12 some hours ago, or started 12 hours ago, rather, but by the time you're watching this, you already have known who won. But, going into it at the time, I was thinking I would want to see Lashley, because when are you going to see Bobby Lashley go against Brock Lesnar? And that was a cool fight. They hinted that at least Lashley wanted to do like a work shoot kind of fight, like an MMA, but have it be like, it looked like a shoot fight, but it was really a work. So I would have went with Lashley, but they obviously, spoiler alert, went with Ricochet. So, like I said, that will be to determine his opponent at Super Showdown, which is ultimately not going to be, no one's going to win that. It's just going to be Lesnar retaining and then going on to WrestleMania. But, it is what it is. What are the, what do we know? We're just some armchair bookers who think we know everything. But anyway, then they also announced a 6-man elimination tag match. Kevin Owens and the Viking Raiders will be going against Buddy Murphy and Akam and Razor. So then we get Lana versus Liv Morgan. Is actually the first action we see of the night. And at this point, when this match, I see Lana come out, I'm like, all right, what's going on here? I really don't care. I hate her on the mic. I hate her even more in the ring. It's like, what is going on here? Then Liv Morgan comes out, and it's like, I'm pretty sure they screwed up and they had Lana's Titantron image and stuff for Liv Morgan. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they messed up the Titantron. But anyway, this match was literally like 30 seconds and done. Liv hit almost like some kind of code breaker, but like it was like a bulldog where she just has like one arm, but then she brings her down into the knees like a code breaker. So she hits that, and then she hits the flatliner and done. So, you know what I mean? Lana got a little bit of offense in the beginning, but who cares? The main purpose of this match wasn't the match, it was the aftermath. So then afterwards, Liv's standing there, she gets the 3 count, smiling, I beat this dumb bimbo Lana, like, okay, for like the second, third time now. Boom, Ruby Riot's music hits. So she comes out, and the fans are going crazy for Ruby. Like I said, the fans were good tonight. Liv, she goes to hug her, but Ruby turns on her. Boom, slams her in the mat, kicks her. Liv tries to get to her feet. Ruby just starts unloading punches on her, kicks her. She attacks her, from behind before leaving the ring for the final time, walking up the ramp. And the fans are kind of booing her, but they're really not kind of saying too much because it's while a reunion would have been cool, now this heel turn is great because now it gives something for both of these women to do. Because if you would have put them together, the only thing I would have wanted them to do would be go after the tag team championships. But they would have had to like earn that. They wouldn't just be like, oh yeah, Ruby Riot's back. Now we put her with Liv Morgan and they can challenge the Kabuki Warriors next week. No, you don't do that. You would have to put them together and have them get tag team wins, but there's no tag teams on Monday Night Raw for the women because they have literally no women. They focus on 4 women. But I'm not even getting into that. So I'm happy that they did the heel turn because now it gives Liv Morgan an actual storyline to be in instead of this bullshit lesbian Lana angle. So I'm glad that that's done. I mean, it might not be done because, of course, Lana had to attack Liv afterwards, but maybe that's just so Lana looks good moving forward. Hopefully, Liv doesn't even think anything of it and she just challenges Ruby Riot in the coming weeks. So that, like I said, I like because, it does something for both women. So then, we go to commercial break, and then they said Drew McIntyre will be in action. So then when we come back, we get a repeat of last week when Drew McIntyre was challenged Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. They're just showing all the highlights. So Drew comes to the ring, and his opponent, Mojo Rawley, the 24/7 champion, is already in the ring. And like I said, last week I forgot to mention Mojo Rawley. He's with, who the heck is that guy who he's with? Yeah, somebody's with him here. Let me see. I have it in the notes here, but yeah. So Mojo Rawley, he's already in the ring, and Drew, he thanks the fans and everybody for coming out. Like I said, driving through this blizzard to get here, and he says that he'll be with Mojo in a minute, but this match will only take 3 seconds. So then he talks about Lesnar, and he says that we attacked him from behind last week, and he's like, you know what? That's fine because it shows me that Brock is scared of the sexy Scotsman. So again. Drew McIntyre, face, I like it. The heel, they didn't know how to book him as a heel. Now they're booking him as a babyface, and he's getting over with his charisma, and the fans are just eating it up, myself included. So, that's great to see. And then he says that Brock knows that he's big and he's strong, and he has the Claymore kick that will knock him out. Then McIntyre acts startled, and he acts like he forgot about Mojo, and he's like, I'm sorry, this will only take 3 seconds. And he's like, yeah, go ahead, ring the bell. So Mojo Rawley, they ring the bell. Mojo turns, and it's Riddick Moss was the guy that, excuse me. So he has like a new bodyguard, I guess, and that, like I said, that was last week. I forgot to mention that, but does anybody care? Did anybody watch and go, Sean Paul forgot to mention the great segment with Mojo Rawley and his new bodyguard or tag team partner or whatever, Riddick Moss? No, nobody cares. So the bell rings, boom, Claymore kick done. This freaking Mojo Rawley, he didn't even get to take his vest off. Or McIntyre, excuse me. McIntyre didn't even take his vest off. I remember texting Juan. I was like, he still has the jacket on. I'm like, that's badass. So, and like I said, the one thing I do like with the 24/7 champion, at least he's being booked in singles matches, but then he gets squashed here in 3 seconds, which is against Drew McIntyre, so I have no problem with it. But it's like, the 24/7 championship doesn't look like it's going anywhere. I'd rather have it just being presented in a decent light. Like, why can't you have like a Kurt Hawkins versus Mojo Rawley or like R-Truth versus Mojo Rawley? Book singles matches and do something with this championship. Have it look good. Maybe in the singles match, then you could have, I don't know, interference because it's 24/7 or like, I don't know, after the match. You could have guys run out if you want to be comedy, but at least present it somewhat in a legit way. So then, after this match, we have Charlie Caruso. She interviews Buddy Murphy and AOP backstage. Buddy says how they're focused on the Monday Night Messiah and that Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe are not thinking smart. And then Seth appears and he tells them to go and get ready for their match because he's got this. Charlie then asks Seth about the triple threat match tonight, and he says that life is funny. Last week he was thrown out of the Rumble, but here he is with a second chance. Rollins says that he has beaten Brock twice and he knows that Drew has his heart set on Lesnar, but he needs to start preparing for the Monday Night Messiah. So then Kevin Owens, he makes his way to the ring for the 6-man tag elimination match, which will be taking place next. So then we get a commercial break, and then we come back to the 6-man elimination tag match. Kevin Owens, the Viking Raiders versus Buddy Murphy, Akam, and Razor. And the match starts out Owens and Murphy, and then KO, he body slamming Murphy, hitting a senton. Eric and Ivar tag in, and then they body slam. They do that like Thor's hammer, or not the Thor's hammer, where Eric picks up Ivar, slams him onto Murphy, and then back from the commercial, Ivar's in the ring with Razor. They're trading blows. A big boot to the face of Ivar sends Razor, into the corner. Eric is then tagged in. Both men double team Razor. Eric sends Razor into the corner, but he comes back with a clothesline. Then Razor tags in Akam. They double team Eric before tagging in Murphy. Then Murphy, he slows down the pace and hits Eric around the ring, keeping him grounded. Eric fights back with some elbows. Murphy connects with a spinning heel kick. And then Eric lands a kick on Murphy. Eventually, Ivar's tagged in, and then Akam is tagged in as well. Ivar takes him out with a body tackle. Then comes in Razor, but Ivar drops him as well. And then a huge clothesline from Ivar takes out Buddy Murphy. Then Eric is tagged in. He lifts up Murphy, and then he jumps off the second rope and clotheslines Murphy. And then Eric goes for the cover, but AOP breaks it up. Then the Viking Raiders, they take them to the outside, and Ivar connects with a suicide dive. Then Eric readies himself and hits a suicide dive of his own. Ivar runs towards Akam, but AOP move out of the way. And then Ivar slams into the LED ring apron, causing it to go on the fritz. The referee's distracted, so Rollins hits the curb stomp on Eric, and Eric is thrown back into the ring. Razor goes for the cover and pins him. Eric's eliminated, and Ivar looks injured, and the WWE officials take him to the back. So I guess when he hit his head on the LED board, he was injured. So they take him to the back, and then Eric gets pinned. So now we get the same situation where it's Kevin Owens, by himself in a tag match, and it's like, we saw this last week. And this match, I wasn't too excited for it to begin with. I said to Juan, they really got to do something with Kevin Owens. If this storyline is dragged out until WrestleMania, I mean, I'm almost bored of it now. You need to do something to spice it up. You need to just have, maybe it's because they're not fighting for a championship, but I don't know. It's just, they say the same thing every week. Seth Rollins is coming out here. He's winning tag team gold and all this stuff. And he's actually accomplishing something. And Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe, they're just like the two cool kids, like sitting in the back of the bus, just like mouthing off. And it's like, okay, but actually do something. Because every time you guys try to do something, you get beat. So that's like what are you going to do? Have him lose all the way until WrestleMania and then finally win? I would have the blow off for this be at the Chamber, to be honest, because you need to come up with something new. Unless you're going to, do something with the singles. Like if you do Kevin Owens versus, Seth Rollins, I'll be fine with it. But just these 6-man tags, these, normal tag team matches, they probably even do an 8-man tag at some point. It's like it all becomes too much. It's like I don't really care because nobody's really the main focus. So like I said, they sold the injury angle again, which also took me out of it because Joe was legit injured. But now there's reports that he's in the same boat with Andrade for the performance-enhancing drugs, whatever, the substance abuse or whatever they're trying to, whatever term you want to go and call it. But, I hope that's not the case. I hope he just suffered a concussion and that's what it was. We'll see when the reports come out. These are just rumors. I'm not trying to break any news or anything, but those are just the rumors I've heard. But, to do an injury angle both weeks in the same kind of match, it's like, I mean, that wasn't an elimination last week, but it's still a tag match. I don't know. To me, it kind of took me out of it. So Eric, like I said, he was eliminated. So then that just leaves Owens, and he gets to the ring apron, and Murphy and AOP, they're in the ring. And then when we come back, Owens is beaten down by AOP and Murphy. Owens gets knocked out of the ring. Murphy tries to attack him, but Owens catches him and hits a fall-away slam into the barricade. Then Murphy makes it back into the ring before the referees count. Owens kicks him, but Murphy fires back with a calf kick for a 2 count. Akam then tags in, and he takes out Owens with a headlock. And then Owens fights up, but Akam drops him and tags in Murphy. Owens catches Murphy with a spiked DDT for a near fall. And then Murphy crawls to his corner and makes the tag to Akam again. Then Murphy tags in and kicks Owens, and then Murphy whips Owens into the corner. He attacks both Akam and Razor, knocking them from the apron. Then Owens hits a cannonball onto Akam at ringside. Then Razor runs at Owens, but he sidesteps and sends him into the steel steps. Murphy leaps over the ropes onto Owens, but he eats a super kick. And then Owens sends Murphy inside, and he looks to hit a swanton bomb, but Murphy gets the knees up. Murphy climbs up top and leaps at Owens, but KO ducks him. And then he hits a pop-up power bomb, and he pins Murphy. So at this point, it's like, oh, okay, he's doing a little something, but there's no way he's going to pin AOP. So Akam comes in. He's now legal. He runs to attack Owens, and he beats him down, but allows Owens to get up, and he's caught with a stunner, and he gets pinned. And at this point, I was like, shit, I think Kevin Owens is going to win this thing. So, I mean, that was pretty cool, and I like how when he hit the stunner, he didn't kick out. So, obviously, protect the stunner. That's the smartest thing they could do. So then Seth Rollins fires up at Razor and then slapping him. The big man, he runs in and he tries to tackle Owens in the corner, but he hits the post. Owens then hits a super kick, knocks him down in the corner. Cannonball from Owens followed by a swanton for a near fall. Seth he's like, freaking out. The fans were chanting real big for KO. Again, I'm going to, give the fans their credit. They were on fire tonight. And then he tries to lift Razor, but Seth gets on the apron. Owens swings for Seth and misses. And then he gets hit with a clothesline from Razor, followed by a one-handed spine buster. Razor lifts KO up again. Rollins is like, do it again, do it again. Boom, a second spine buster, which to me looked more like a choke slam. But commentary was calling it a spine buster, so I'll call it a spine buster. And then he pins Kevin Owens for the win. So the winner or the heel team, the Monday Night Messiah and his goons, they win again. Again, it's the right choice, but now I don't want to see this match anymore. Now you got to give me Kevin Owens in a singles match, like against these guys. And maybe that's what they're going to do because they sold the injury with Joe, whether he's injured or being suspended. And then they sold the injury with Ivar. I hope Ivar is also not being suspended. I hope they're just selling an injury angle. Like, if he's being suspended, then what the heck's going on here? Like, who's, putting freaking steroids in these people's, sodas in the Titus Catering? Like, what's going on here? But anyway, it is what it is. And like I said, the right team won. But, I mean, overall, it wasn't a bad match. I just don't like to see the same thing booked from week to week. So then after the match, Seth and, like I said, his team, they're regrouping on the stage, and then we're left with Owens. He's in the rings, and the fans give him a standing ovation. And then Charlie, she's interviewing Ricochet backstage, and she asks him what the triple threat match tonight means to him. And he says it's a shot for the WWE Championship, and that's the dream. He says it's all he's ever wanted, and he's not as big or as strong as Bobby Lashley, and he doesn't have the cunning that Seth Rollins has, so he has to use what he has, which is determination. It means everything to him. So, like I said, good promo from Ricochet. He's not the best on the mic, but, good babyface promo. I don't know what to expect from, because he can't get real into it, because he's like, yeah, in the back of his mind, he knows he's going to win, but just to lose at Brock Lesnar in, probably 5-6 minutes at Saudi Arabia, so, was it really worth it? Yeah, you were in a championship match, but unless you win, being close doesn't really mean anything. So then we get Aleister Black versus Eric Young. I mean, how do you think this one went? So the bell rings. Young, he goes to tackle Aleister Black. He forces him into the corner. A couple headbutts. And then Black, he sweeps the leg. Black sends Young into the ropes and hits a kitchen sink knee. And then Black delivers a big kick after big kick to Young. Then Young throws elbows, but he eats a switch knee. And then Black lifts him up. And then the boot connects with the Black mass. And done. Eric Young, you had an amazing stable in NXT, and now you're dead, Now you're nothing but a jobber, but, what are you going to do? Like I said, I could book this guy and so many better storylines and this and that, but WWE doesn't listen. Nobody listens. They don't care. They like their handful of guys, and the rest of the guys they see as expendable. Eric Young is one of those guys, and, TNA, everywhere else he was before this, he proved himself to be, better than what WWE is presenting him as. But like I said, it is what it is, and it's a shame, and that's what it is. So after the match, Black asks him, he said, we've all been told at one point or another who we should be, and he says that he's never believed in that because he thinks everyone should be whoever they want because that inspires the relentless competition. Then he takes a seat, the lights go down, and he says that he will kick in the door of the Raw locker room and the light will be extinguished by the Black mass. And when it happens, they will know it was done by someone who was told he could be whatever he wanted. And then we see a replay of 2 months when Andrade, and Humberto and all that's, their whole feud and everything. And then last week, when Humberto did the same to Andrade, and then, why the United States Championship our champion is out. And, but we all know why he's really out. And then Humberto makes his way to the ring. So, to comment on what Aleister Black said, though, before I keep moving forward here, got a little excited with the notes, but, like, Aleister Black's promo is good, and I like this. Like I said in the previous week, I like how now he's coming out of his little, his little broom closet he was hiding in, and now he's picking a fight with everybody instead of waiting for people to pick a fight with him. Because if you're looking at it storyline wise, he was so legit and so badass, nobody wanted to fight him. So he's like, you know what? Now I'm just fighting everybody. Eric Young, he's taken out. But I want to see him fighting more guys with name recognition, not these jobbers who nobody's heard about from the local, wrestling school. Have him beat actual named guys on the roster, people that are in, freaking WWE 2K. Those are the guys he should be beating. He should be taking out the Mojo Raleighs, Zack Ryders, guys, No Way Jose's, guys like that. Then he can move his way up, start really taking out some big names. But then, here, where are we? Here we go. Sorry, I scrolled up in the notes. And then Zelina, she comes out. We're supposed to get, like I said, Humberto, and he's in the ring. And then Zelina Vega comes out, and she has our boy Angel Garza. So of course this is a huge surprise, and he's actually Humberto's cousin. So then Zelina asks him if he's surprised, and she says that she found Humberto's vulnerability, and she says that Garza is not some hired hitman, but a former NXT Cruiserweight champion and the hottest Latino prospect there is. And Garza says he knows that Humberto's shocked to see him, but there's a reason for it. He says they both know that he is the leader of their family, and Humberto will answer to him. Humberto slaps Garza, and then the two of them start brawling until Garza hits the wing clipper. Garza then tosses Humberto from the ring and hits a drop kick to the face. Garza slams Humberto into the steel steps as Vega pulls the floor back. Garza drags Humberto, and then he readies him for the hammerlock DDT, but out comes Rey Mysterio to aid Humberto. Rey gets in the ring and goes face-to-face with Garza and Vega. So now we get Rey Mysterio versus Angel Garza. And when this thing was announced, I was like, please don't let this be a one-off. Please, please, please have this feud go into Elimination Chamber so Juan and I can see this in person. Because that would be so badass. And this is, when Angel Garza lost the Cruiserweight Championship, Juan and I were both devastated, crushed, heartbroken. Any of those terms will apply to us. But they had a plan for him. They brought him up to Monday Night Raw. Boom. And this is how they're booking him. Monday Night Raw is the new... There's Latino heat now. We got Andrade, Mysterio, Humberto, Garza, Zelina, throw her into the mix. So, 5 wrestlers and, or 4 wrestlers, and then with Zelina makes it 5. So it's like you got a really good representation. And to me, like, they're the best wrestlers on the freaking show. So I don't want this to be a one-off. And like I said, Garza, he lost the championship. It was a shame. But now he got promoted to Monday Night Raw. And like I said, Raw has been on the up and up. It's been getting better. So this isn't a bad gig for him. He can, maybe he'll be, United States champion at some point. Hopefully soon. The guy is talented enough. And to me, like I said, he's like an Eddie Guerrero, like the second coming. No one will be as great as Eddie, but he's pretty close. So then we get this match. And like I said, I hope this isn't a one-off. I definitely want to see this feud continue. The bell rings as we get back from commercial, and then Garza, he gets a headlock takeover. Rey reverses it into a scissor lock. Garza reaches the ropes to force the break. Mysterio hits Hurricane Rana after a series of dodges and reversals. Then Mysterio runs towards Garza, and he gets on one knee and extends his hand for a handshake. Mysterio tells him no, and then to stand up, Garza rips off his pants. He does the ripping off his pants thing. He throws him onto Mysterio and then stomps him. Garza remains in control, chopping Rey in the chest, forcing him into the corner. And then he puts Rey onto the second rope, and then he trips him, and then followed by a drop kick that causes Rey to hit the mat. Then Garza puts Rey into the top rope. And then this time he tries to take off Rey's mask, but Mysterio fights it. Garza gets Rey into a tree of woe, and then he runs and knees him in the midsection. Then he goes for the cover, but Rey kicks out. Rey counters Garza with some kicks, and then throws him onto the ropes. Mysterio goes for a 619. Garza throws him into the ring apron. And then Garza slides in from the outside, and he trips Rey on the apron. And then as it goes to commercial, then when we come back, a backbreaker by Rey. Both men are slow to get up at this point. It's Garza who throws Rey hard in the turnbuckle. Garza climbs to the second rope. He jumps but misses a moonsault. Rey goes for the cover, but Garza kicks out. And then a kick to the head by Mysterio earns him a 2 count. And then Rey connects with a tornado DDT for a near fall. Rey gets on the top rope, hits a seated senton. And then he hits the ropes, but Garza grabs Ray's foot and connects with the knee to the face for a 2 count. Garza goes for the wing clipper, but Ray reverses it into a sunset driver. And then he drop kicks Garza onto the ropes and goes for a 619, but Zelina moves Garza out of the way. So of course Zelina, had to get involved, but like I said, it just keeps this, feud going hopefully. Ray jumps over the top rope and lands on Garza the outside, and then Vega gets in Ray's face, and then Garza hits Ray with a super kick. Ray throws him in, then he throws Ray into the barricade, and then of course there's the exposed concrete there. So Garza grabs Ray, hits a hammerlock DDT, and the ref calls for the DQ. So Rey Mysterio wins by disqualification. The fans aren't happy. Again, it's the same screwy finish, but I think they're booing it. Not in the sense, probably a little bit, like, really, because at the same time, I do agree with that. I'm like, really, like, why did these got to end in a DQ? Because if you're playing the game and you do a move to the outside, it doesn't matter. It's like, hey, there's a 10 count, and that's it. So I don't like how he was, disqualified from that, but, it was what it was. And like I said, as long as it continues this feud and we get to see more of it, and I get to see these two guys go at it in person on a pay-per-view, I'll be happy. But I'm just, Angel Garza, I was worried he'd be lost in the shuffle, but we get him here on Monday Night Raw. So I'm definitely happy about that. And then moving on, we get Charlotte Flair. She comes out, and of course, the winner of the Royal Rumble. And she is here to announce who she'll be facing at WrestleMania. She gets to the ring and she says everyone wants to know who she will choose at WrestleMania. Will she choose Lynch? Will she choose Bayley? Charlotte said that she's held the Raw Championship several times, and that she's beaten Becky as well. And she's held the SmackDown Championship, and she's also beaten Bayley. And at this point, the crowd, they're chanting NXT Rhea Ripley because they know, everybody reads the dirt sheets. Everybody, access to the internet. They know what's going on. And she's like, yes. She says the Queen also has love for NXT. And NXT loves their Queen. And she says that she's held that championship as well. She's held them all combined for 10 times. But she still wants more. So at this point, boom, Rhea Ripley's music hits. All the rumors were true. She comes out. Huge NXT chance. She reiterates that Charlotte did win the Royal Rumble and that she does get the challenge for any title that she wants. And she said that she has already beaten Becky and Bayley. Yes, all this is true, but she hasn't beaten her. And then Ripley says, as a matter of fact, she's actually beaten Charlotte. And Rhea says that if she's going to challenge her for a title at WrestleMania, and then she raises her championship. So Charlotte walks towards her and looks at the championship. Flair leaves the ring as the crowd, obviously boos her. They want her to accept the challenge. Of course, they're going to play the cat and mouse game, this carrot on the string, tease us with this for a while. Flair stops, turns around. You think maybe she's going to say she accepts. She just does the Flair woo and walks away. Rhea raises up her championship. And, again, like, really cool. Because I didn't want to see Charlotte versus Bayley. You don't want to see Charlotte versus Becky. If this is what they're going to do, and, but Rhea has to win. If Charlotte wins and this whole thing is just, I don't know what is going on. Are you going to move Charlotte to NXT? There's no way. Maybe they will because that's the jump start they needed, but then who's in NXT is going to beat Charlotte? You're taking on these tough women, and the way you book Charlotte, you're booking her like a China Brock Lesnar character at this point where she just sells moves and is the most dominant woman ever. So besides Rhea, I don't know who else would beat her in NXT. So then backstage we get Sarah Schreiber, and she's with Lashley, and she asks him for his battle plan tonight and that if he's distracted by Lana's defeat. He said, I'm not distracted by my wife's match because that was her match. And he said that they'll celebrate tonight when he wins the opportunity that he deserves and that he will beat both Rollins and Ricochet because he's the one man that can back up a bold statement. And after he wins, here's a spoiler, he's going to beat Brock Lesnar and go on to WrestleMania as the WWE Champion. And then when he goes to WrestleMania, he'll beat he'll beat Drew McIntyre as well. So then when we come back from commercial, we get Natalya versus Asuka with Kairi Sane, and this match was actually better than I thought. I'm going to be honest with you. So let's take you through it. The bell rings. Natalya goes for a headlock, and she's just trying to wear down. Typical start of most matches. Then Asuka reverses it, and then both women get to their feet. They exchange some reversals. Natalya goes for the cover. Asuka kicks out. Then Asuka goes to the ropes, and she comes back and hits a shoulder block. Then Asuka goes for a spinning back fist, but Natalya moves out of the way. Natalya lifts Asuka for a power bomb and a 2 count. Then Natalya goes for a sharpshooter, but Asuka rolls out of the ring to regroup. And then back from the commercial, Asuka is laying the boots to Natalya. Then she slams Natalya face first on the mat. She goes for another kick, but Natalya ducks and attempts a roll up. And then Asuka connects with a kick to the face. She then applies a modified abdominal armbar. And then Natalya fights her way out of that hole. Then Asuka slams her onto the mat, connects with a Shining Wizard for a near fall. Asuka attempts an armbar, but Natalya fights it and hits Asuka with right hands. Asuka then goes for another armbar, and this time Natalya, she stands up, lifting Asuka and turns it into a vertical suplex. Cool looking spot there. And then Asuka, she runs at Natalya but gets caught with a kick. And then Natty, she grabs Asuka and gets rolled up for a near fall. They exchange some pinfall attempts here. And then Natty drops her with a discus clothesline. And then she goes for the sharpshooter. She locks it in. Asuka's crawling to the ropes. And she falls to the outside. And then Natty goes to the outside and throws Asuka back in the ring. And then at this point, Kairi Sane, she tries to distract Natalya as, Natalya's entering the ring, which allows Asuka to get the Asuka lock on. And, eventually she tapped out. But like I said, Natalya, she doesn't have the most exciting moveset. She's not going to blow you away with anything she does, but she's a solid wrestler, and I feel she doesn't get, the credit she deserves because, you see her performance in the Royal Rumble, and you see that, and you know that this woman can still go. This match with Asuka wasn't bad. And like I said, I'm not saying give Natalya gold but you can do something with her. She's, still a viable, contender in the women's division. She's a veteran, It's like the same with Mickie James. It's like, I don't know, is Mickie James hurt or did they just not see anything in her? But like, she's the same thing, these women, just because they're a little older doesn't mean they can't go. And, but the right woman won here. So then after the match, Asuka, she gets on the microphone. She starts screaming in Japanese. She's yelling for Becky. And then, she challenges Becky again. She's like, I'm going to challenge you again. So then out comes Becky, and she comes to the ring. She has these like weird pixelated glasses. They don't look as good as Jean Paul's glasses. Let's be real, everybody. So she comes out, and she said, that she's like, after, dodging me for a full year, now you want to fight me again? And then Lynch says that, just beating you at the Royal Rumble, it feels like it gave me superpowers. And she's like, do you think I want to drink from that fountain again? And she's like, you're right. And then she thinks, but why would she put her championship on the line so close to WrestleMania? And Lynch says it's because it will, be more fun to beat your ass twice, than it would be beating her again. And then Lynch says that she's on. So then Sane tries to attack Lynch from behind, but she throws her to the outside. Then Lynch turns around, stares down Asuka, telling her that she has eyes in the back of her head. She's like, see, I told you I had superpowers. Which at this point, please just put Kairi Sane in a box and just, because they killed her. She's dead. Put her in a box and just mail her back to Japan. Like, you make this woman look like a jobber, and it's sad. It's disgusting. It's pathetic. And then you watch her on NXT, and she was amazing. She was a superstar. So it's like, that's probably why Io Shirai's not re-signing, because she's like, look what you did to Kairi. Like, Asuka is barely, credible. Like, you book Asuka like shit for how many months, and then, come WrestleMania Royal Rumble time, you freaking skyrocket her. But, like, are you going to give her anything? No. She's probably going to lose again to Becky. And when is this? This clearly isn't in Saudi Arabia. So is this for the Chamber? What are you going to, like, and then you have Shayna Baszler win the Chamber? Like, I don't know, like, what is the point of all this? But, if Asuka wins, I would love it. But I really don't think that they're going to go with that route. But like I said, Kairi Sane looks like a jobber at this point, and it's ridiculous. So then Charlotte will be on NXT this week to answer Rhea Ripley's challenge. Like I said, we'll see how that goes. Like I mean, she's like challenging Rhea Ripley and all this. I honestly would have waited until after TakeOver Portland, because who's not to say Bianca Belair doesn't win? Now you're pretty much saying that Bianca Belair is going to lose, which again, we knew that was the case, but you got to present it in a real way. And then Seth Rollins, he makes his entrance because now we are at the main event, and Rollins says that it's a good thing, or good things come to those, who are on the right side of victory. And he said to join him and giving him a round of applause to Buddy Murphy and the AOP for their victory earlier tonight. And Rollins says it's now this time again to dethrone Brock Lesnar. And the fans, they're kind of, some are actually cheering him, some are booing him. It was like 50-50. But he obviously still had to go with his promo here, and he said that he made a promise last time this year, the same promise that he was going to defeat Brock Lesnar when he won the Royal Rumble. And he said, but last year he got a different response. And then he promised he would go to WrestleMania and beat Lesnar for the Universal title, and that's exactly what he did. And he took that title from it and he defended it all across the world, from here to Paris to Tokyo, Seattle, New York. And instead of a proper welcome, he got crucified. Again, making the Jesus reference. And then Rollins says that he doesn't hate them for it. And Rollins says that he is here to thank you. It's because of them that he's the man he is today, and that's the man he's become and he's so proud of. And he said that he's going to dethrone Lesnar once again, but this time it won't be for him or for the fans, but it will be for the greater good, for something that cannot be understood, and it will be remembered in 10, 20, 100 years. He will go down as the man who saved the industry. Drew McIntyre won't go to WrestleMania to fight the Beast, but he will fight the Monday Night Messiah. So then Bobby Lashley and Ricochet make their entrances as well, and then it goes to commercial break. And then coming back, the match actually starts. Number 1 contenders match, Seth Rollins, Ricochet, Bobby Lashley. So the bell rings and Ricochet fights off both Rollins and Lashley. Then he throws Lashley to the outside, drops Rollins, and tries to pin him. Seth immediately kicks out. Ricochet hits a Hurricane Rana, and Rollins falls to the outside. Ricochet then runs the ropes. Lashley trips him, and then he prevents Ricochet from diving to the outside on Rollins. And then Seth is back in the ring. He hits a sling blade on Ricochet. Lashley's entering the ring, but Rollins knees him back to the outside. So it's like, can this guy get involved in the match, please? Can we see some triple threat action? Rollins continues to assault Ricochet, and he sends him to the corner. He runs at him, but he gets tossed over the apron. Seth then springboards off, but Ricochet moves out of the way, and Lashley returns, and he knocks down Rollins. So then Lashley grabs Ricochet and Rollins and delivers a double neck breaker. And then Lashley clotheslines Rollins to the outside. And then he runs at Ricochet but gets caught with a kick to the side of the head. And then a drop kick from Ricochet sends Lashley to the outside. Ricochet hits a tope to Lashley. And then he gets back in the ring and hits one on Rollins. And then on the other side, Ricochet then throws Rollins back into the ring. And he climbs up to the top rope. But out comes Buddy Murphy, who pushes Ricochet onto the floor. AOP then come out as well, and like I said, I was like, shit, like, is Rollins going to win this? But, like, to me, anybody who won this, it didn't matter because they weren't beating Lesnar anyway. So this match was kind of pointless, but, like, if I'm getting into it and really, not, thinking, again, not thinking like a person who's reading the notes, reading the dirt sheets, and using logic, and just taking this day by day, which I'm not saying you shouldn't use logic, but, I'm enjoying it for what it was. I was thinking, shit, like, it looks like is Rollins going to win here? And then, like I said, so AOP comes down, but then out comes Kevin Owens, and he's making the save. He starts beating on Murphy, and then they start brawling on the stage, but he gets super kicked. Murphy does. Then Eric comes from behind, and he starts beating down AOP. And then Owens runs to the ring to help out Eric. They grab steel chairs, start beating up AOP to the outside. So that pretty much takes out that factor. So now it's, again, just the 3 men. So then when we get back from commercial break, we see Seth and Ricochet. They're down in the ring. Both men get to their feet. Ricochet unloads with some fists. He runs to the ropes, but Lashley drops him. Rollins runs at Lashley, but he gets caught too with a spine buster. Then Lashley hits Rollins in the corner and tackles him with some shoulders. And then Ricochet jumps off the top rope with a crossbody onto Lashley, who rolls to the outside. Ricochet with some hands on Rollins, and then he gets on the apron and knocks Lashley down. Ricochet then springboards into the ring with a flying forearm to take down Rollins. Then a standing shooting star press by Ricochet for a near fall. Lashley then attacks Ricochet from behind. Then he goes to throw Ricochet, but he lands on his feet only to get hit with a spine buster anyway. Lashley then drops Rollins face first onto the mat for a near fall. All 3 men are down. But Seth gets to the top rope and hits a blockbuster on Lashley and Ricochet and breaks the pinfall attempt. Then Rollins climbs to the top rope, but Ricochet hits him from behind. Ricochet climbs to the second rope, but then Lashley knocks him, and then he hits Seth with a superplex, and then Ricochet gets back onto the top rope and hits the 450 for the win. And so Ricochet, like I said, he won this thing, and he was the other obvious choice. I mean, you could make a case for all of them. Rollins, Monday Night Messiah, bringing down his goons. Ricochet, him and Lesnar had the back and forth the past couple weeks, and Bobby Lashley he was the wild card, but you could also see him because, like I said, back when he first signed, he said one of the guys he really wanted was Brock Lesnar. But Ricochet wins, and then Brock comes down, hits him with an F5, and poses with the belt as the show goes off the air. So, like I said, it was a decent Raw. To me, there was no real segment that was like, ugh, like this is bad. Anything like you had the 24/7 championship, but Drew McIntyre was there. Everything with Randy Orton was good. The only thing that was kind of iffy was like Charlotte and Rhea. I would have waited till after Portland. And just the 6-man elimination tag was probably the worst thing because the Lana and Liv Morgan, at least we got Ruby Riott out of it. So, without booking ahead and just thinking, the worst thing possible, like I hope that they do something good with that storyline with Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott. But like I said, to me, the worst thing was probably Charlotte and Rhea and the 6-man elimination, just because, like I said, you needed to wait for the Rhea thing. I don't feel like you needed to announce that now. You really could have dragged that out and had Shayna Baszler come back, and really maybe it was going to be Charlotte versus Shayna, or if Asuka beats Becky, Charlotte versus Asuka again. Really waited to see and let the seeds kind of plant themselves and let it grow a little bit before you don't need to book your WrestleMania card, today. You can wait a little bit because then it gives the fans the surprise and the shock factor. But like I said, overall, this was a good show, Monday Night Raw. It'll definitely be better than SmackDown. I was a little heated last week with AEW. I say Raw is better than AEW. I mean, it's really not the case, like I said, but AEW just kind of lets me down. But like I said, Raw was good, but I think NXT will be good. But Charlotte's going to be there, so we'll see how that goes. AEW is going to be good this week unless the Lucha Bros lose. Then I'm going to be going off, and SmackDown will obviously just be the worst show this week. But that was the review. And thank you guys so much for watching. Of course, like I just said, those other 3 shows coming up, we're going to review all of them. And we might have something special for you on Saturday, so please stay tuned for that. And if you haven't already, check out all the reviews from last week. Some older videos. We got Jean Paul's Wrestling Hall, of course, the Royal Rumble coverage. And Juan actually has the Royal Rumble coverage in Spanish. So please, if you speak Spanish or just want to support us on the channel, also check out that video. Really good stuff. Juan, he has a bunch of Spanish-speaking friends and family, and they were loving it. I loved it, and I barely even understood it. So please, check it out. And, again, just share our videos. If you're new to the channel and this is one of the first videos you're seeing and you haven't already, please subscribe. We have all the other social media you can see here on the screen. So follow us on any of those platforms. We really do appreciate it. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. I hope you have a great day.